So, Paul, it's really interesting, the amount of, I'm going to say noise, the amount of noise that's out there around development, regeneration, urban issues, and so on and so forth. And it seems like the whole world is scrabbling around trying to find a solution to the changes that are happening right now. And whether it's retail change or now workplace change and so on and so forth. And the volume is different in different places. So again, maybe culturally, because of, say in the UK, we've kind of propensities, or shopping on the internet now, in general terms, whereas maybe in the continent they're still going to local markets and enjoying that. And so the issues are different, the volume's different. But it's all this big noise about creating places and placemaking and urban regeneration and activation and so on. But yeah, that's a real issue, and it's like the future of our cities, and there's so much noise and discussion and debate about the future of cities, future of place. But reading a lot of what's being written, I keep like, buy the next book, or what are they saying? And then I get bored halfway through because I'm thinking, hang on a minute, you're not telling me anything new. You're not telling me anything that I didn't already know, and it's kind of a respin of existing stuff. And that draws me back to my own experience and what I was doing, and the real challenges, the real practical challenges trying to make things happen in a fast-changing and difficult environment. So you take Heart of the City, Sheffield, for example, where there was a developer in tow to deliver a retail scheme. They couldn't make it work. Cutting a long story short, I got involved as a city council, decided the only way forward was to go alone and deliver it. Maybe very extreme in some circumstances to do that, but out of necessity, that's what was required. But as well as ultimately coming up with the physical model of what needed to be delivered, moving away from the traditional retail anchor and a retail-led regeneration scheme, it became very much mixed use. The anchor ended up being HSBC for a new office development. I'll never forget doing the deal with those guys down in Canary Wharf. But that created the momentum. That was the catalyst. And from that, there was the other issue was, how on earth do you finance this? How do you pull this together, given local government finances? And so coming up, as well as designing the master plan, what was key was designing the finances in tandem, which kept the usually very risk-averse finance people happy, and that combining that, working with people in the team, getting the governance right was really a really important step. But I think coming back to the noise and those issues of today, I think what's called for now is new partnerships, new ways of the public sector and the private sector working together. Public sector taking a long-term view, doing the heavy lifting. There's no way on earth that a private sector development appraisal is going to be delivered if it's underwater. It's not going to happen. But this is where government, central government, local government need to find new innovative ways of working in partnership with the private sector. Heart of the City might have been an extreme model. It was more public sector than private sector. But needs were as they were, and it's become a success and a real model for how to do things through the public sector without actually putting your local council at risk. How lots of councils are actually finding it difficult these days. So those new ways of working and coming together, I think, is crucial. And I think again, our experiences, we've lived and breathe this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a surprise.
And you could probably write our own book and actually probably be a bestseller.
We should do that.
And maybe we should do that. because all I'm reading at the moment is kind of, I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, I could have written this and actually done a lot better at it. So,
well, and also the thing I love about where we are now, and it's certainly what you've done here, and the space in which we sit here in Sheffield today is a great exemplar of the need for bravery and innovation and forward thinking. So many of the models that we've historically delivered, be it a retail model, be it a shopping center model, be it an office model, in today's world it's stressed, it's strained. Yeah, the big guys will hold, but there's such a transition towards new products, new models, new occupiers, that it has to transform. And as we were saying earlier, is that the old pattern form doesn't fit, and we can't say today, you and I would never say today, do it this way. But we do feel by the legacy and history of what we own that we can ask a whole lot of better questions. And by doing that and participating in that, we can deliver something that's really innovative. And again, I think that process is what you had done here in Sheffield over the years.
You know, and thinking about current central government narratives around levelling up and the like, well, it's really interesting how levelling up has been about capital expenditure on certain projects around the country. But for me, it's really, if we're going to really level up or deal with the inequalities in this country and deal with the social value aspects a lot of the private sector friends of ours are trying to grapple with, how do we build in the social value into our schemes? For me, it's actually around trying to deliver schemes that will actually make a difference to local people.
Yeah.
You can call it the foundational economy or foundational living, but how does your development, how does that regeneration scheme improve the lives of local people? If we take where we're sat today, what we did through the council was, for certain buildings, insist on leases that had real living wage clauses built in. So it was about, you can lease this building, but you have to pay your people a proper wage. So that helps local people, it helps that foundational economy grow. It lifts people out of stress in their financial situation. From a well-being position, we were going to build multi-storey car parks. We said, forget all of that, let's build a park. And here today is a lovely day today, and you've seen it. People are out there enjoying the space. Children are playing. There's water play. There's soft play. It's good for people's well-being, and that's a new park on prime real estate in the city centre. Yeah. But it's creating a space for all. It's not perfect, but it's gone a long way to deliver that purposeful regeneration.
I was going to go there because you've coined that phrase and used that phrase a lot, the purposeful regeneration. And my read of that is that for it to be purposeful, for it to have a root cause or a because in my lexicon, you have to own it. You have to own the heart and soul of it. And that park is a lovely exemplar of it because it's the council's park. They owned it. They didn't say, developer, here's a section 106 and you got to throw some capital at it and get some knuckleheaded builder to come do something cheap. You owned it. You understood what they wanted. You've got things that you delivered there physically in park design that other people wouldn't be brave enough to do. But it now thrives as a place within the heart of your heart of the city.
Yeah.
That's a real exemplar.
Yeah.
That's purposeful
It
regeneration.
really is. And also, it's not forgetting the commercial aspects of this. We've got some key commercial tenants, big international PLCs and local PLCs that have taken office space here, along with providing space for the independent, small business, artisans, startups. The building we're in now is, you can come and rent a desk. So there's everything from the small individual entrepreneur that's coming to rent a desk to, your big international corporates within the space. But other things that we did here was sort of stopping investors buying the residential elements, so that you had owner-occupiers creating a new sense of community, actually getting all the tenants, whether it's residential and commercial tenants, creating a new sort of forum where we could meet each other and create that new community. Those are the things that have sort of really lift this up from just, any kind of normal development. And I think in part this was because the main developer, as the local authority, was able to take that long-term view. And I think that long-term view is really important going forwards. And given the stresses and strains on the economy generally and on local government finances, finding that balance between the private sector and the public sector is what it will be the key to unlock things in different places, to different levels of intervention.
And in the context of capital markets and finance, what has maybe dissipated a bit is trust. Are you able to deliver? Is it real? Is it commercial? And when you have that relationship between the local authority, which has a long-term covenant in its own right, and a private developer working together, the capital can trust that. They can find a balance of trust in that. And I think that just facilitates then the delivery of all those very cool things.
I think you talked earlier about people don't need to be brave around certain things, and I think if you look at the context in today's world with local authorities actually getting a little bit nervous about where and how they might invest, certain councils have got it wrong, and spectacular headlines around the issues that those councils are facing. But councils always throughout history, if you look back to the early part of the 20th century, councils were innovative. They actually operated different trading companies, whether it was the gasworks or the waterworks or the tram company or the bus company or whatever. They did all of that. We seem to have lost something over the intervening years, whereas especially a lot of those services were put out to market forces to deliver. So there is a sort of capability issue in local government, something that's missing. But the role to help places regenerate, revitalise, repurpose is very much still part of what local government should be doing. But there has to be that partnership with private sector.